Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another edition of Average Aaron's Auto Videos, and today we are back with our 2003 Dodge Ram. Why? Because it needs some love, that's why. And today we're going to be replacing the heater core and the AC evaporator, but I'm in a bay, so there's a lot of extra noise. I apologize about that. But I needed to go ahead and remove a few things, and I'll talk to you what I did. So the first thing is, because we're going to be working with electrical, disconnect the battery. So I disconnected the battery. I think that's a 10 or 8 millimeter bolt. Next thing we did when we came over here is I removed the air intake. It's just a couple bolts. It sat right here, went across, pulled the air intake off, and then I covered it up to prevent debris from getting in there. Oh yeah, let me start with the tools that you're gonna need, I guess. So I used a pair of needle nose pliers, but clamp pliers, something like that will work good. And then this was to remove the AC lines. It's a tube spring lock coupler tool. You need a 5/8, and I think I also used this 3/4 as well, 2 different lines. Before you do this, go to a place that has an AC machine and can suck the Freon out of your machine. They'll just plug in right here, suck the Freon out. That way you don't want that released into the atmosphere. It's a harmful pollutant, and let's manage that as best we can. So once I removed the air intake, the next thing I did is I came in here and I needed to remove, I'll show you the part I removed actually, is this bad boy right here. So it was connected, just knocked my light down. It was connected in here. I had to pull this off, and this is where you need those coupler tools, is to remove it from this end where it connects to that opening right there. It's flexed over a little bit, and it has another end as well. And as you can see, let me put this down and go back. Oh, sorry about that. There are 2 lines going in. So this one goes into this side. It's the smaller one. You'll push that right into there. And then that black container I just had will go into there. So that's what I use those coupler tools for. You also need some ratchets. I got an 8 and a 10 millimeter head here. And then you'll need a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver and these hose clamps so you don't lose all of your coolant. I've got some rags down here to catch it. And the hose clamps, the lines from the radiator to the heater core go in up here. And I've clamped them off. I've also put a little bit of blue tape on one of them to mark it as the upper line. Make sure you mark which one is the upper and lower lines to go into your heater core, because you don't want those getting reversed. So once I mark that, kind of got whatever that big black thing is out of the way, I then needed to remove this computer. Now I'm not sure I needed to do that because somebody may have already done it and forgot to put a bolt back on there. Behind this computer, which was 3 8 millimeter bolts, one here, here, and then down below, and there's no way I can get a camera angle for you on that one. You just have to trust me that it's there. And then you need to remove this 10 millimeter right here. And then there was supposedly a bolt back here, if I can get this out of the way, right in there on the bottom one. But it wasn't here when I pulled it off, so technically I didn't need to remove this computer right here. So one of the things I would suggest before you begin, if you have any rusty parts, go ahead and spray them with either a PB Blast or silicone spray the evening before you want to work on it, because these were hard as all get out to get off. And I will talk about these tool couplers for just a second. So these things right here, this tool coupler, will go on the line like this, and you want to put it on so that this raised edge on the inside, right here on the closest to my finger, points up. Because once you put it on, go on like this, and you'll lower it down, and that'll release tension on the spring that's inside there to get it off the lip for your AC stuff. And you just take that off again. Alright, so I did a lot of removal and didn't show you guys, and I apologize, but it took a lot of work and it's just me today. So it's how it's gonna be. Alright, so from there, to remove the heater core, we need to get around to the truck, hop in, and we need to get in here. Now I had a dash cover because I had a massive cracked dash. As you can see, this is just the glue remnants. I've already pulled that off. And then I've also removed the glove box and the lower assembly, but this is the component, the HVAC system that you need in here to get to. There's your blend door, blower motors, somewhere down there. And to start with, you'll want to pull this off, this trim piece right here, just a little flathead screwdriver, lift up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little clamp places. You'll pull those up. If you want to go ahead and remove this, I wanted the glove box portion and the lower assembly here with the cup holders. I wanted to do that to make my job a little easier so I have less to move around with. And then everything I'm doing on the passenger side, you'll want to do on the other side as well. Now keep track of all of these little bolts. There are tons of them everywhere. And if you don't get them all back in there, you will hear the dash rattling, which is no good. But you don't have to take everything off because the dash can come out for the most part as one big section. So I didn't technically need to take this off. I just wanted to for ease because I didn't know if I'd have somebody to help me move this and set it on the seat. So we're gonna disconnect all these little wires and everything down in here. And then we're gonna do the same on the other side, but keep track of what goes where, how much you have. Take pictures. Oh my gosh, take pictures so you can go back and reference them. Pause this video if you need to. Make sure you disconnect some of these. And then we're also gonna disconnect this piece of trim up here too. Probably can't get it on my thumb. But you'll get in there, take out the bolt that's in there, and then pry this up before you get it off as well too. So I'll walk you through some of that, but I'm gonna take a pause now and reset, get my tools that I need and prep this area, and then we'll be good to go to start working on the interior of the cab. All right, so what we're gonna do now is remove this piece, pry it up. There's, I think 6, 7, 8 clamps, whatever, just push, they go all the way across. You wanna gently lift those up, excuse me. And there should be some bolts right along the top side back in here that go along there. They're like 10 or 13 millimeter bolts. So we'll get those off and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. But I think I can go ahead and pry in here, go along and, yeah, see it just pries right up. I just got a thin little screwdriver and I'll just go along and keep doing that. Be right back to show you what it looks like. All right, so I got this piece off, just pulled it back. This is what it looks like underneath there. I think you just need to get these big bolts off right here. I just hit my face on the rear view mirror. And that one right there. These other ones I think are just holding plastic in there, but I'm gonna probably take them off just in case because that's probably gonna be the reason they don't come off, knowing my luck. But I think it's just those couple ones, and there's a few more across here. Maybe I will take those off. I'll see where they lead. I'll let you know when I come back. All right, so we got all the bolts off. We took out the 2 10s. And then there were 4 8 millimeters. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And be careful using your ratchet next to the glass. You could twist the ratchet and smash into the glass and crack your glass. So I will warn you against that one. We also use the 2 deep well 10 millimeter sockets here to get this panel piece off right here. Just pulled it off. Hopefully I can I'll pull off this one here and get it on camera. Now I've got a Bluetooth that I've won from my speaker, so that's gonna fall, don't worry about that. This kind of pulls up and comes out just like that. Boom, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, I'm gonna get these out of here and then open up and we'll start disconnecting some electrical stuff. Like, don't forget to connect this right here when you're taking it off. Be right back. All right, so I'm gonna start disconnecting some electrical stuff over here. I've already got this off. This little guy looks like it has a pin. This one as well. Looks like I only got a couple pieces over here to take off on this side. So let me take these off and then show you what that looks like. All right, I'm gonna take some time to show you guys how I got this part off. So this right here, these little clamps were in these holes. So I wiggled those out and then I was able to get access to this side right here and press the pin and get this bad boy out. This one, however, good night. You've got these red tabs on the bottom. I don't know if they play any part in it, but those need to come down like this. And then up here, you press this in to release inside that clip. And that was the hardest thing in the world to get out. It almost takes 2 people to get that out. Again, if you haven't disconnected your electrical yet from your battery and whatnot, do that too. All right, I'm gonna go around to the other side and we'll start disconnecting some things on the driver's side. All right, I've already started taking a few things apart here. I took this screw off of this side, this screw off of this side. Now again, you don't have to undo everything because some of this is the plastic bolted onto the metal and some of it is the metal bolted in. And what we want off is the metal so that we can move this dash forward here. And it seems like it's gonna be a little more complicated than I want. but we're gonna need to remove all of this stuff up here because we have to drop the steering column. So a lot of this is gonna have to be unplugged. And so you wanna be careful when you do that, take pictures so you know what you're looking at, and move stuff out of the way. So I'm gonna pull this because I gotta get this OBD2 reader out of here. So I'm gonna start disconnecting a few things and I'll show you the progress where I'm at. All right, what a mess. So I have an aftermarket steering column post here that goes on. I've got enough line that when this comes off, that'll be fine. I've got one cable that goes to my rear view mirror that's plugged in, tied to the camera, and then I've got one to the Bluetooth microphone here. So those cables are long enough. I've disconnected this aftermarket cruise control. This little bracket right here, if you have one of these, went up into this hole right there. We had to disconnect that and then push the red pin over and then pull this connector out of that one. So what I'm going to do now is there are some bolts right here all around. I'm going to grab those and drop this, and I'll come back and show you what the rest looks like. All right, so I was able to drop the steering column with these 4 bolts, 1, 2, and then there's 2 that went here, right there, and then right there. Got those out of there. You can see where the cruise control adapter, the manual one was, that little piece right there, that's where that went that I showed earlier in the video. Now I've got these wires that are attached that when I pull the dash, everything should kind of come forward, but I don't want to break anything, and I don't know what is going to move and what isn't. And so I don't think all of these are going to move because they're running to a computer inside the engine bay. So I'm going to disconnect some of these here. And I took this off too, by the way. I forgot to show you that, but of note, on the bottom, there is a weird way that this mounts. So this is one adapter that went under there. It's way up in there, super annoying to get access to for that. So I think it's a 20 Torx bit. And then there's 2 other locations as well where the Torx bits went into. I think this is one and that's one. They're really close together, I can't say, but it was stupid annoying to get them in there. So I did all that. I also disconnected this one and the other one down there. And then now I'm gonna disconnect some of these wires. But again, take pictures so you know where it is you're going. It looks like I only have to do this, this, and this. And that should free all my wires. And then I'm gonna start disassembling these 13 millimeters on the side and bringing it in. I wish I would've brought a vacuum because I'm inordinate about cleaning. But I guess I'll get those with a bolt. But these red clips, I hate these red clips with a passion. Anyway, gotta get those off. All right, I'll come back and show you what it looks like. All right guys, so I got those 3 pieces off. I wanna show you real quick. This red tab needs to come down on the bottom, and then this white one pushes down, and so you gotta pop this up. Dang it, I just pushed it down. There it goes. So that comes up, and it looks in like this. And this one on the bottom, make sure you mark these that went in here. White is on the driver's side, yellow is on the passenger side. That goes into right here. Again, this is an 03 Ram 5.7 liter. All right, so I'm gonna start disconnecting these side bolts and seeing if this should come off. Lord willing, that is the last piece. All right, I will say up here, there were these little Phillips head 6 millimeter or 7 millimeter. You can either use a Phillips or a 7 millimeter socket head to get them out. There's about 4 of these going across the dash. Those also have to come off, so make sure you take those off. All right, last thing I'll say before I pull the dash is after you pull these 13s, there's a place up in here for a 10 on this side and a 10 on this side. You wanna make sure you, oh, my hand's in the way, 10 millimeter bolt right in there behind those. Make sure you get those as well before you pull the dash. So not only did I miss those other 2 bolts, but you gotta disconnect from this guy right in here. So this white one goes up in here. This one with the bolt actually blocks into the gray one. And then this guy right here, oh, sorry, let me get in here, goes right there on the bottom. So that should be it. We were able to get the majority of the dash off. We put it back on because I forgot to get these. So we're gonna pull the dash now and this should work. I will show you guys what it looks like, and here's what we have now. We're gonna try to pull the dash off and set it up. All right, I goofed again. Last thing you're gonna need to take off is the e-brake and disconnect that. So You can see the hinge moves in here. I don't know where I'm going to disconnect it yet, but I'll let you know once I figure it out. All right, so what I did is there is an orange tab that you can pull down off of this to disconnect it. So this orange tab, I was able to come off and we got it. All right, so we got the dash out. We pulled the seat all the way back so we could drop the steering wheel and stuff down there. We got clearance so it's not resting on it. So we have access to the HVAC unit, which you can see is right there. I've got a friend here helping to crank on it. And so you got some bolts you got to remove here, one up there, one down there, and I'm sure we'll find some others. But this is what we needed access to in order to change the heater core and the AC evaporator. So hopefully I can get out of the bay before they close at 7. I have just about 5 hours left. Thanks for joining us on this adventure. I will be right back once we get the HVAC system out entirely. All right, we're back in the engine bay because there was, for the lines running to the heater core, there was this little plastic clip right here, and I broke the cover over it, that was sitting on there like this, on top of this 10mm bolt right down here that I'm currently trying to take off. So this is holding, just to show you, come around here inside the truck, this is holding this in here. So far on this side, we've only found this bolt, the equivalent bolt somewhere right there, and this guy down here. So we're still looking for the remaining bolts. We think that's it. I actually think I'm turning the one either right here or right beneath this, but we're gonna try to pull this off and get it out of here. All right, we got it out. Now remember in the first part of the video, I said I didn't think I needed to pull that computer. Well, I did, and let me show you why. Part of the insulation went over the bolt right down here. Now this bracket that was up here is holding stuff on. I took this off too because those bolts were getting hung up on it. I didn't know what was getting hung up on it, so I had to remove this too. So I ended up pulling this other computer over here. You do not need to do that, assuming you do everything else correctly first. But I learned something, and hopefully you guys did too. But if it's struggling to come out because it gets hinged up on those, if the bolts are getting hinged up on this little frame or the support brace, go ahead and pull that other side computer. It's just 3 7 or 8mm heads to get them off. And again, spray everything down if you're doing this on an 03, never been done before, because everything's kind of rusty. So now I'm gonna get to the heater core, and you gotta take some stuff off of here. So I'll start doing that and then walk through what I'm doing. All right, so I got this open. You just find all of the screws. There is this many of them to take off, and you go around, it just comes right apart. Now when you pull this out, there's still coolant on these lines. So as you pull it out of the vehicle, make sure you tip it so those lines are up until you can get to a place where you can pour it out. And you don't just get to turn it over once like this. You gotta like angle it and rotate it to get it all out. Otherwise your floor ends up looking like this. So be ready. So I'm gonna place the AC evaporator. There's one interesting thing I wanna show on this. This prong was on here and it was just shoved in right like this. I don't know what that does, but I'm going to do it to my new one. Let me open up my new AC evaporator and the heater core, and I'll show you what those look like. All right, so I've got my new AC evaporator. All this work I did to get in here, right? I'm gonna replace that because you can see it's grimy, it's dirty. This side is super dirty. It's not really showing it, but trust me, it is. And this literally just lifts right out, assuming you detach this. One moment. And that's it. Lifts right out. I'm gonna set it right here. Set the other one right next to it. Now it's got these caps on it to prevent moisture from getting in there for an AC line. So I'm probably, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these yet when I put this on, but it looks like the same part, which is great. And then I gotta remove these screws here to get this out. 1 second so I can set the heater core next to the other one. All right, I'm sure you can guess which one the old one is. I wasn't getting heat. Lord willing, this will work. So I got the new AC evaporator and the new heater core. I'm gonna put these in, and Lord willing, they'll work. Set this. I'm gonna need 2 hands. I'll come back once I seat it. All right, I got this all back together. I got the parts in there. I'm gonna remove these vapor caps once I get it through the firewall. Just pull both of these. That one's kind of stubborn. Probably gonna take some pliers to get that one out. I did unplug these 2 from this fan when I had it in there. And then the other, I gotta reseat this here before I put it back in there, but that's fine. Not a huge deal, just sticking up a little bit. Oh, and also I broke this clip right here too. Sad day. I'll get that back on there, but then I'm gonna put it back in there and start putting it back together. All right, we got it back in here. Now I didn't tighten them down all the way, courtesy of the gentleman I'm working with giving me that good advice. So we got inside, we have one, we've got that one right there, I've got this one right here, all put together. Also make sure that as you put it on that none of these little connectors have come off. Like that one was a little loose. You see it's got some play. I pushed it back in because I'm not freaking doing this again. I'm gonna need to check the routing on how this was in here. Maybe it's not a big deal. There was probably a clip underneath for this cable. This is one of the first ones, pain in the butt to get off. All right, everything else looks good. And then what we did is we went around to the other side and put them on back here. So we got that giant one right there. That's just a hand tightened deal. We've got this 10 millimeter. We've got that 10 millimeter right there. And then we did have a 10 millimeter down here, but I broke the head of the bolt off inside the, I broke the head off. So I can put a new one on there, which I'm gonna wanna do because this coupler for the coolant lines has kind of held it in place there so they wouldn't rattle against the engine block and overheat and melt or something. So I can route them a certain way to fix that, then it's not gonna be an issue, and I'll put this back on there. So just take note of that. So right now, I'm gonna tighten all these bolts down inside and outside now that I got everything seated. And then what I'm gonna do is put the computer back on, that one, and then put the other computer back on here. And then from there, I'm gonna take a pause and then I'll go around and put on the dash. Be right back. Hopefully we'll just come right back here and see the computer's on. All right, we got the computers back in. Secure it on there. This frame is still a little loose because that bolt down there. Otherwise, everything is good. That one's tight. The other stuff is on there. Just gotta watch those caps, make sure I don't get anything in there, remember where everything goes. Now, I have a small issue, and that's why this is gonna turn into a two-part video. And I wanted to check this beforehand. Check all your wires and make sure, because I have two freestanding wires. I don't know where they go. But this went underneath the steering column, has a purple and red wire on one side, none on the other, even though the inputs are a little bit different. So I'm gonna have to stop this video and go back and check the other one. So it's gonna be basically a part two to put this thing back together and back on there. I'll keep you guys updated, but for now, this ends this video. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe down below. Sorry about the cliffhanger, but hopefully you'll come back and watch the other one. Yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.